How's it going, everyone? Happy Friday. Before we get to the weekend, I want to dive into some quick changes, some amendments that were made to some of the leaks that we covered this week already, to kind of go over those from some sources, talk about some new Walker art and actual mechanics changes that could be coming to the game, being tested in the test server right now, as well as some new information yet again about the game's ARAM mode Street Brawl that should be coming to Deadlock. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and like I said, we're heading right into the weekend. We've had a lot of news this week. Some news now that's even being backtracked on a little bit by some sources that I've covered. I want to talk about all of that in this quick news update. Let's dive right into it. All right, so we're going to start off with some amendments to some claims that were made this past week. I covered a tweet from Sleep that said new info via Minesweeper and Hezi. Ward and Viscous Bebop have new models in production, and we are essentially probably getting 4 to 7 new heroes in the next major update. That has kind of been backtracked on, not only by Sleep, but also by some of the other sources that were involved in that. So I want to go over some of those claims really quickly. Sleep had posted the day after, got better info. There is no Warden remodel. It is LARP. Viscous currently getting remodeled because bad feedback on previous one. Bebop and 7 remodel are in 100%. And another tweet saying that essentially Boho is not likely to be coming in the next patch. So that's a claim from Sleep. Minesweeper kind of in their own way kind of verifies this. A lot of misinformation going on regarding the December patch and which heroes are being added / worked on. At this time, the only things you should believe are coming is Venator and Street Brawl. Everything else is up in the air. The list of stuff Valve works on behind the scenes is pretty expansive. We can conclude what they have been working on, but can almost never say with certainty what is making it to the big patch. And I think this is why we put those kind of caveat grain of salt, kind of cautions when we cover leaks like this, because especially if we don't have screenshots, there really is a lot of uncertainty for what even people in the test server could guess are coming to live. So, I mean, obviously when we look at things like the base photos that we covered on the channel, that's a pretty clear-cut example of something that we can really stake our claim that this is pretty much definitely coming to the game. But when we talk about all these other things, a lot of it is speculation based on what hero is being tested or worked on or implemented in the test server mode. We're pulling from sources. There's a lot of kind of, a lot of moving parts with covering leaks here. So moving forward, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with what leaks we do cover, go through maybe a little bit more thorough of a verification process if I can. I still want to cover what prominent leakers are talking about in the community. It's still, even if, necessarily it's not 100% what those leakers say come to fruition, it's still an interesting thing to talk about. It's something the community is talking about already, and so just as an extension of that, I want to still engage with those things here on the channel. But regardless, let's talk about some other things that have been claimed now, as I say that, without images, but let's get into some information coming down the pipeline about what might be changing with the walkers in Deadlock. So the claim here, at least on one side of the map, there could be different kinds of walkers for both sides. Obviously, with the new art coming in, the new theming of each side, maybe they'll differentiate the two. Not quite sure here. But this was first tweeted by Sleep on November 4th. We'll be getting a new walker variation based off of the bull statue. This walker has ditched the laser attacks for more melee-based attacks and enraged stomps when they are low health. The game currently calls for their model when loading maps, and they show an image of that on the screen. This was kind of verified by Minesweeper, who's now also working with the Deadlock Intel account. Valve are working on remodeling walkers. One variant is a living version of the Golden Wall Street Bull, and then it's got the model there, obviously. It has new attacks animations, and as Valve tests new mechanics for walkers, Minesweeper adds, it swipes at you with its horns and stomps when its critical HP. Looks pretty cool. Might be a temporary model, as they're going through changes since around August, when I said they removed the stomp. So this is one of those things where, again, I do not think we should say with certainty that a bull is going to replace the walkers right now. This is kind of what I'm talking about exactly the way we're going to cover leaks moving forward. But this is something clearly, I think, though, walkers will change. And this probably makes sense to a degree, like just to fit in with the art style, to make them a little bit more interesting and dynamic. There's already a stomp mechanic when you get too close. I think that with a stun, I could easily see Stang just to kind of punish standing right under a walker as an attacker. But again, we don't know what this could turn into. One thing that they are testing is a bull image. So that's about the only level of certainty I can say with this without an actual image of gameplay or anything like that. So at the very least, though, this is a super interesting thing. The map is going to be changing. We talked about in the last video, and this was actually corroborated by some other leakers as well, that the map is undergoing you might call it like a final art pass right now, where a lot of the empty rooms are going to be filled up with furniture. A lot of the exteriors, in particular, just like gray walls, are going to be textured up. and lighting is going to be added. A lot of things are going to be added to the map to kind of jazz it up and make it more cohesive of an art theme. And the walkers are an extension of that. They are kind of the walkers, the jungle camps, the current patron. A lot of the objective enemies right now in the game feel a little bit maybe out of touch with where the game could be going. So I would honestly expect this should be something that should tip us off to thinking what changes are coming to Guardians. Obviously, we've seen at least one of the patrons completely overhauled. Walkers, minions, jungle creeps, everything I would say is on the table for an art overhaul. Even honestly, the Sinner's Sacrifice, I could see those getting some updates as well. But in any case, let's take a look, last thing here, at some even more details that have come about the ARAM mode, which as it turns out is looking like one of the more promising things that we're going to get in the December update. So yeah, last thing here we're going to look at is a post from Deadlock Intel. Now, quick note on this image before you get excited about it. I actually saw the creation of this image. So this is just kind of created as a mock-up of the UI. It does not represent anything actual in the game or test server, so please look at the image on screen with a grain of salt. This is something that, again, I watched kind of be made. Leak here in the new Street Brawl roguelite mode, Valve are testing two types of items. Enhanced items, which are enhanced versions of normal items, i.e. enhanced cooldown equals 60% cooldown reduction, and super rare legendary items, which give you various buffs such as infinite ammo or massive amounts of both types of resists. This is assumed to be Valve's way of encouraging you to follow a certain build path instead of picking randomly from all three categories, attached as kind of that mock-up. So yeah, this is just, again, some new information we have about the ARAM mode. Minesweeper kind of adds this on his own account. Yeah, two types of items. Legendary items are just completely broken and silly. So this is just a little bit more of another nugget of information about the ARAM mode. This is one that it kind of has slowly, information has kind of continued to trickle out about it more and more and more. But again, I mean, we just had to show a UI image, or not a UI, kind of a fan-made, reconstruction of what it could look like. We don't have anything tangible still for this mode. I think it's like the fourth video I've talked about it, and I have nothing to show, which does not feel good as someone trying to cover the news of the game. It's just one of those things. It really does feel like more and more momentum is coming behind that, coming to the game pretty quickly, probably in December or January. But again, we have to say this now. We really do not know, especially with the state of kind of the leaks and some uncertainty surrounding what we're getting. It just kind of further calls that into question. But with all of this, what I want to say in response to kind of last video and where we're at with leaks right now, I still think that we're going to probably get a major update in December or January. I don't think anything like that is going away. Will we get in December? Valve time, you never really know. That was obviously the claim from Yoshi, but we never really know. At the end of the day, though, I think we should expect some new heroes. According to Minesweeper, Street Brawl and Venator are all we can kind of hang our hat on and guarantee. But we should still absolutely expect some remodels. I would expect Yamato remodel to still be coming through. There are enough other heroes that I've heard talked about for remodels seriously that we should really consider it. And the other thing that, at least from my sources, I can pretty much guarantee is coming in the next patch is some map updates, at least as terms of the art goes. So look for, I've mentioned a couple times now, but look for furniture and buildings. If you want to look at an example of this in the map, go to the deli. I believe it's near, I want to say yellow, between yellow and blue, in the jungle. There's a deli that looks really filled out, has like newspaper clippings and all this kind of stuff, like New York Oracle stuff. That is a good example of what we can expect all around the map. That should still be very much on the table for December, January. So basically what I'm trying to say is that even if we don't get 4 to 7 new heroes, which always felt like a little bit of a weird range, we should still expect some new heroes, a lot of remodels, a lot of content, base and patron redone, obviously. So a lot of changes coming to Deadlock this next update. Very, very exciting ones. But that is going to do it for us here at Dead Unlocked today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If there's any news over the weekend, we'll cover it on Monday. I'm actually flying out to a wedding in Ohio right now, so excited to get out there, celebrate a friend. I also just got my hair cut, so I'm getting really used to this. I cut it super short, so I don't know if y'all can see, but this is the update. So, weird. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in as always, and from our house to yours, we'll see you all next time here at Dead Unlocked.